Welcome back to the Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 96. I wanted to end this week with a complaint about the stymieing of the blockage of the lack of democracy in the Mississauga election for mayor right now, the by-election that's going on. There's been two debates this week that I have been excluded from, and not just myself, several other very qualified people that are duly nominated candidates in the by-election. And I just think it's undemocratic, and it's incredibly ironic that the organizations, the Town of Port Credit Ratepayers Organization on Monday, and Marinette, which is a Mississauga-wide amalgamation of ratepayers organizations on Tuesday, they're all about openness. They're all about wanting to have a larger voice, a bigger voice in what goes on in the city, and allowing residents in such that it's not just the established politicians that make all the decisions. And yet they're the ones that are excluding myself and others from participating in the debate, and I think for incredibly arbitrary reasons. Topka's justification was that I registered late. Well, lots of other people registered early and at the same time and were excluded. And people knew when registrations were over, they should have waited until the registrations were over before they finalized the invite list. They could have invited some people ahead of time, and then all of their promotion was online. They could have easily added some names at the end. It was completely inappropriate. And then Marinette had the gall to say it was because of the lack of capacity on their stage that they couldn't have more than 6 people. And then ironically, again, one of the individuals didn't show up, so there was an empty seat. They took off. There were 3 candidates that weren't invited to participate that were in the audience. They could have offered it to one. They could have drawn a hat. They could have said, one of you can have each one of the 3 times. They could have added 2 more seats to the dais. It is undemocratic. I sent them a letter, and I'm going to release this legal letter publicly, but I wanted to take this opportunity to read from it a decision from the court. And this was in 2019. When someone else was excluded from a debate and went to court to get injunctive relief in regards to it. But I think the decision is really telling, because it tells us what the legal system says about this process. And this is, I'm quoting from the decision by Justice Strabopoulos. And he said, although trite, it deserves mention that the city of Mississauga forms part of the government and its actions are subject to the charter. The idea that the government would take responsibility for organizing political debates and in the process invite certain candidates for public office to participate while excluding others raises serious constitutional concerns. As the Supreme Court of Canada has noted, participation in political debate is, quote, the primary means by which the average citizen participates in the open debate that animates the determination of social policy. The organization of political debates by the government in the lead up to an election, with government actors choosing which candidates will be permitted to participate and which candidates will be excluded, represents a significant intrusion on the expressive and political rights guaranteed to all citizens under the Charter. As Dixon CJ stated in a previous case, quote, the state cannot act to hinder or condemn a political view without to some extent harming the openness of Canadian democracy and its associated tenet of equality for all. It would seem to run afoul of fundamental charter guarantees for the city to organize candidates' debates in the lead up to an election and to decide to invite certain candidates to participate while also excluding others. If such a debate were scheduled, I would not hesitate in granting the complainant's injunctive relief he is seeking. Marinette and Topka, because they, number one, were using city property. Number two, because they get city funding. Number three, because they're really trying to play a role in government. And number four, just ethically, I think should be thinking about themselves as part of the same government that this justice has said needs to stand by the Charter. And why would they possibly think they're excluded from adhering to the Charter of Rights? The excuses, the reasons that I heard was, well, you know, we're scrambling to try to organize it. We're an organization that is volunteer led. Valid reasons, but not enough to infringe someone's charter rights. That is one of the most important things that I think Canada's about, is the charter that we've been granted. It's just plain undemocratic. And because of that, I've lost an opportunity to explain to hundreds of people and be broadcast live. And they've harmed my chances to win. They have. There's no question, but they've harmed my chances to win. And what this says is that I've got action to claim against them for infringement of my charter rights. Do I want to do that? But I want them to recognize that they've infringed my rights. They've infringed other candidates' rights. They've been undemocratic. And this is an organization that, as I said, ironically, is all about openness, all about citizens' involvement, all about not only the incumbents, the people elected should have a role to play in the governance of our city. Other people have a right to a voice, and yet they're shutting down my voice. They are good people. I've liked them. I've interviewed some of them. I've participated in committees with some of them. But they made a bad decision, a wrong decision, an unethical decision. According to this, frankly, an illegal decision. One that someone, if I'd gone to a court beforehand, would have given me injunctive relief. Do I want to go to court against a public group? No, I don't want to go to court against a public group. I was hoping when I sent the letter, when I emailed them twice before and they didn't respond, that they'd actually think about what's the right thing to do. But they didn't. They just bulldozed ahead. And in that regard, I think they've harmed democracy, they've harmed me, and they've harmed you, because you don't even get the opportunity to hear other points of view. I'm going to do a debate next week with several of the people that were excluded from the debates, some really good, quality people that have put their name forward and are working hard to earn your respect and earn your vote. And no, they're not supposedly in the polls in the top couple, but these are quality people that should be heard. And I'm going to give them a voice. And I hope you give them a listen, because at minimum, the charter says that they should be given an equal right to be on stage, to be part of a debate, such that you can consider whether me or them are the right people, or you want to go with the people that have got the power of incumbency, the power of an organization. They've been there before, and they've created, I think, the morass that we're in today. Anyway, a couple of thoughts to end the week. Good night.